Have you ever looked at somebody else's account and thought, man, maybe I should just restart? Because I saw this discussion recently in Heroes of History Epic Empire, and honestly, I completely understand the feeling. Because I also was looking to maybe I should do a restart. A new player missed the free Tutankhamun, and immediately the conversation became funny and also very real. Some players are basically saying Tutankhamun is strong. Some were saying it's insanely strong. Some were saying just reroll, and then others feels like relax. It's not a big of a deal. And this is where I stopped for a second because I think this is one of those mistakes that look small but can completely change how you treat your account. Because the real question is not, is Tutankhamun good? Of course, if hero is strong, a free hero is valuable. The real question is missing one good thing enough reason to throw away your whole account? And this is where many players get trapped. Because in strategy games, especially games like Heroes of History Epic Empire, the most dangerous feeling is not weakness, it's regret. When you feel like you're missing something, your brain starts lying to you. You start thinking, my account is already behind. I made a permanent mistake. Other players got something I didn't. Maybe I should restart before it gets worse. And I have this feeling in other games many times. You miss one event, you spend on the wrong things, you build the wrong heroes. You see somebody else with a cleaner start, and suddenly your own account feels dirty. And but here is the weirdest part. Sometimes the mistake is not missing the hero. Sometimes the mistake is panicking after missing a hero. Because when people talk about reroll, they usually only compare one thing. They compare account with Tutankhamun versus account without Tutankhamun, but that's not the real comparison. The real comparison is account with Tutankhamun, but no time invested, against account with Tutankhamun, but with days, progress, buildings, events, resources, habits, and momentum already built. And that's a very different question because progress in those games is not just one hero. Progress is everything stacked together. You're building your upgrades, event rewards, daily activity, alliance positioning. You understand of the game. Your mistakes already paid for. The last one is important. Your mistakes you already paid for. Because when you restart, you don't only lose progress, you also repeat early game again. And a lot of players forget how expensive that is mentally. Not expensive in money, expensive in attention. You have to do the same early grind again. And boy, oh boy, it's crazy because you have to wait this building to finish. It's like 5 minutes, maybe 1 minute. After this, the next building. Until you understand what is going on, you're sitting like 3-4 hours just to not miss time for one of your buildings to get built or something else that happened. Because the dopamine hits when you start playing over again. It's the games are built like this. They're going to give you a dopamine hit after dopamine hit the moment you touch the game. Later, obviously, the things are going to be bigger timers and etc. And yeah, you have to unlock the same things again. You have to wait again. You have to rebuild the same momentum again. And what for? For one hero? Maybe it's not worth it. That is the part people skip. And this is why I like the answer from one player who basically said, Option 1, make a new account and get Tutankhamun. Option 2, ask support. Option 3, it's fine. Tutankhamun is not a huge deal. Option 4, reroll until you have Marie Curie, or and Tutankhamun, and then cruise for a long time. That answer is actually more useful than it looks, because it shows where the levels to these discussions, because it show where the levels of this discussion. If you are 5 minutes into the game, sure, reroll is not painful. If you are one day into the game, maybe. If you're 2 weeks into the game, now we need to think, because 2 weeks in strategy games is not nothing. 2 weeks means you already made your decision. You already claim a rewards from the events that appear. You already joined something. You already built something, some rhythm. And when you restart, you are not only chasing Tutankhamun, you're also saying, I believe this one missed advantage is worth more than everything I already built. And that's a big statement. This is where I think players overvalue heroes. Not because heroes are not important, they're important, but because heroes are easy to see. You can see Tutankhamun, you can see Maria Curie, you can see a strong hero. You can see a hero portrait and feel like that is the account. But the account is not only the hero portrait, the account is the boring stuffs too. The stuffs that doesn't not look exciting at the screenshot. The farms, the resources, the upgrades, the event timing, the line support, the daily consistency, the small advantage that quietly stack up. And this is where FOMO becomes dangerous. Now, for the people who don't know what FOMO mean is fear of missing out. Because FOMO always make visible rewards look bigger than invisible progress. You see someone with Tutankhamun and you think he had something I don't. But you don't see what you already have. You don't see the time you already saved by not restarting. You don't see the rewards you already claimed. You don't see the learning you already did. And you don't see the biggest danger. If you restart once because you missed one thing, you might restart again when you miss the next thing. And that's the part nobody's talking about. Rerolling can become a habit. Not because the players are stupid, because the player is trying to create the perfect account or the perfect starting condition. And in these games, a perfect account does not exist. You're always something, there's going to be always something you're missing. There's always somebody that is more luckier. There is always someone who pulled it better. And I can say it, back in the days when I pulled the Medusa, I remember a lot of people in the comments was like, oh bro, you're so lucky you get the Medusa, I wish I get it too. And I was on the other side. In the same time, I was, a little envy over the people who was having Maria Curie. There is always something that we miss. There is always someone who pull it better. There is always someone who start at better time. There is always one code, one event, one hero, one reward, one mistake. So if your condition for enjoying the account is, I will not miss anything, then you're already in trouble, because the game will always give you something to regret. And this is where I would separate players into the two groups. The first group reroll because they have a clear plan. Obviously, they know exactly what they want. They are early, and they are early enough that the cost is low. They know the hero combination they're chasing. They're not emotionally panicking. They're making decisions, and that's fine. The second group reroll because they feel bad. They saw something else ahead. They missed something. They got salty. They feel their account is ruined, and that's dangerous. Because now the decision is not strategic, it's emotional. And emotional account decisions are usually very expensive. You have to done this. You have. I have done this in other games before. Not always with restarting, but with resources. You make one mistake, then instead of accepting the mistake, you make a second mistake trying to fix the first one. Boy, oh boy, how much time I have entered in this trap. It's just crazy. When I make a mistake and I try to fix this mistake with other mistake, and yeah, you invest more, you reset something, you chase something, you spread resources because you don't want to feel behind, and later you realize the first mistake was small. The reaction was a real damage. That's exactly how I see this Tutankhamun situation. Missing Tutankhamun might be annoying, but badly, restarting badly because of Tutankhamun can be worse. Now, does that mean nobody should reroll? No, that would also be wrong because sometimes rerolling is actually a smart. If you just started and you can get a much better start with almost no cost, then yes, why not? If you're still in the first hours of the account and you can start with a hero combination that will carry you for a long time, that can be a real advantage. But for this reason, you have to be prepared. You have to have this knowledge. And that's why for more knowledge in Heroes of History Epic Empire, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also hit one like on this video. Especially if you're kind of player who cares about efficiency. But if you're already progressing, already enjoying the game, already building momentum, then you need to ask different question. Not is Tutankhamun good? Ask what I'm actually losing by restarting, because that's the question that keep you honest. And I want to make it even more direct. If you restart today, how many days until the new account is actually better than the older one? Not emotionally better, actually better. More resources, more progression, better overall heroes, better account direction, better buildings, better everything. If the answer is I don't know, then maybe you are not making a strategy decision. Maybe you're making a regret decision. And those are not the same. This is also why I don't like when players just say, just reroll, too casually. Because for some players, that advice is fine. For others, it's killing their motivation. They restart, they play the game, the same early game again. They realize it's boring and they quit. And that is worst possible outcome. Because now they didn't not just miss Tutankhamun, they lost the account completely. And this is where I think more experienced players need to be careful with the advices. Because when a veteran say just reroll, they usually understand the cost. They know how to min max. They know what they're doing. They know how much time it takes. But a new player hears this and thinks, oh, my account is bad. That is very different message. And in strategy games, confidence matter. If a new player believes their account is already ruined, they stop playing properly. They stop investing mentally. They stop caring in general. They start looking at every future mistake as confirmation that they should have restarted. And that's a terrible way of playing. Because account growth is not about having no mistakes. It's about making fewer big mistakes over time. That's the real skill. Not having a perfect first week, not having like every free code or promotional code, not having every hero, but understanding which mistakes actually matter and which one just feel painful because other players are talking about them. And that's the difference between FOMO and strategy. FOMO says, I missed this, I'm behind. Strategy say, doesn't this change my next decision? That's one question is huge. Does missing Tutankhamun change your next decision? Does it change your team direction? Does it stop your progression? does it ruin your account? Because those are very different problems. And if you only feel bad, maybe the correct answer is not to restart. Maybe the correct answer is accept it, keep progressing. Don't let one missed thing become a story of your whole account. But if actually change your long-term plan, then yes, maybe rerolling become a real option. This is the part where I think players need simple rule. If you're very early and the new account clearly become better faster by just getting the Tutankhamun, reroll can make sense. If you already invested and the only reason is regret, don't rush. Wait one day. Think about the real cost. Ask what you lose. Because most bad accounts decisions happen in the first emotional moment. You see the missing rewards, you feel behind, you want to fix it immediately, but strategy game punish immediate emotion fixes. They reward calm decisions. So I'm curious, if you missed a free hero like Tutankhamun, would you restart? Or would you just keep going and accept the account as it is? Because I think this is one of those decisions where the answer says a lot about how you play the strategy games. And maybe the best players are not the one who never miss anything. Maybe they're just the one who know which mistakes are actually worth fixing and which mistakes are better left behind. So tell me honestly, would you reroll for Tutankhamun? Or this is one of those moments where players are panicking way too much. And if you already made this kind of mistake in Heroes of History Epic Empire, let me know, because I think a lot of players have been there. I know I have. And yeah, sometimes the hardest strategy decision is not what hero to build. Sometimes it's simply not destroying your account because Discord made you feel behind. And to be fair, Tutankhamun is not some crazy hero at the end of the day. It's strong. Definitely is helping your account. It's dying very easy, but anyway, it's a good hero. Okay, right now we're not having this hero anymore. I want to point out, but I just end up in this discussion and I decide maybe to give my 2 cents over this thing. Let me know again what you think in the comments below. So far, don't forget to hit one like, subscribe for more Heroes of History Epic Empire content. If you want to support the channel, you can become a member and get early access to my new videos. I wish you a great day and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.